Okay, A Gang of Daggers. For a while, I kept thinking as the tagline would be Harry Potter meets The Sopranos. It should be more, I think more accurate description would be, or tagline is Peter Pan meets The Sopranos. Uh, Kids able to go to this other place and they live out this fantasy Never Never Land experience. They're able to fight. They're engaging people in a life and death struggle. What A Gang of Daggers is the reality that in that environment, that type of environment, this is the reality you face. Bloodshed, slaughter, people killing, people dying, and everything that goes along with that. So learning how to fight, learning um, how to survive in struggles and challenges that come across you in a medieval primitive setting where people are armed with swords, shields, spears, daggers, knives. Um, the majority of the population live in walled towns and cities to keep vagrants and thieves and bandits away. So the the thing that I thought was fascinating, interesting, and would be the best way to present the story is have the backdrop of high school, because there's always a, a tragedy involving a school, a high school, kids being killed. Um, Many times it's from the students, kids themselves, who are perpetrating violence of some sort, some nature on their classmates. Um, the I think Columbine had been around. Yeah, Columbine had happened by the time I had conceived of this story, and there was the general notion going around that okay, school violence is a bad thing, needs to be addressed. Violence in culture, violence in video games, violence in TV and movies. Just people examining what is happening in our society. Are we training ourselves to do this? That kind of situation. A Gang of Daggers is in many ways meant to be an antithesis to a not so much politically correct, but a anti-violence rhetoric and idea of society and how people should be and behave. In today's modern society, violence displayed is shunned or frowned upon. We don't want people to act violent. We want people to use their words, use their rhetoric skills, be able to say, no, we want this to be, want that to be. Challenges are made through legal channels, and people feel safe and secure. There's nobody that's going to bust in their door and rob and kill them. They can walk down the street, they can go down a road, they can travel and feel safe and secure. And yet the reality is this, is X. And that can be, since then I've watched the show The Wire on HBO, and what's the reality that people are facing and being raised in. My only example growing up was a high school in California, so the environment of the high school is relatively tame compared to other environments. And that's mostly because in writing the story I realized I don't need to focus on what's happening on Earth, I just need to focus on the story of how do these high school students take advantage of this gift, of this magical portal to another world, and live out their lives as the gods they want to be. So I've been tinkering with the story for decades. 2006, I finally sit down and start writing out. I realized okay, I'm gonna sit down and write this thing out. It's just in my brain so much. I keep thinking about it and can't really keep change or whatever concept, and sketched out a chapter outline. So I knew in my mind okay, these are the beats I need to hit. this is how they're going from three just random nerds to an army of 100 guys, elite trained fighters who know how to kill. And now, in the course of editing, I'm realizing like, wow, I can't believe what I wrote. But one of the things that I was like in the back of my mind is after a couple chapters of writing, I realized like, well, this could be made into a TV show. And because I started thinking of like, well, a high school of the arts like Juilliard in New York City, and just find a location in the countryside where sets could be built, and so some of the scenes could be filmed. So using a small farming village with log walls and simple wooden huts. And then at the end of a season or two, have enough people trained, have enough interest that like, okay, now we can stage armies fighting using the suited body. So I mean, just little random things like that. I mean, because I know in terms of writing a fantasy, creating the world environment, you want to start the reader off with what's familiar and then slowly introduce to the unfamiliar. And the way I set up my story was that I realized there's so much to cover. I am going to go for a 4-year span of these characters and what they decide to do. So I'm just going to show scenes of here's this that happened, here's that happened. Here's how each thing builds up and adds to the overall status and quality of these characters and what's happening to them. And part of that is through chapters that establish here's day in the life, normal experience, to here's exposition explaining what's going to happen, what they're doing in the background. So I don't necessarily have to show to the reader, well, here's what they did here and there. Like sometimes I do. Otherwise, it's expressed through dialogue. This is what's happened. This is how much time has passed since the last time we saw these guys. So in the course of writing, I was saying to myself, like, man, there's so much violence in here. Like, is there something wrong with me that I'm just thinking of violent ways to fight and kill people? Something happened in real life at a technical college, Virginia Tech, at the time, and I was like, okay, I'm not that guy. I'm not to a certain state that like I need to be worried about what I'm thinking. I don't embrace violence. My time in the Army has made me realize, no, peace, love of all humanity. Don't desire to see people killed. Those are good things, good virtues to have. And it was even difficult and challenging for me to write a lot of the battles and fight scenes after a while because like this, how do I think of how to kill somebody in this situation? So yeah, it was a struggle there. Course of the writing the story, I'm realizing that okay, having personalities here, or trying to develop some personalities, and I need to add some drama to the story. And in the course of that, like okay, have a scene involving a female employee, and the protagonist saying, "All right, I'm going to hire you to do this." Basically have sex with one of the members of the Dagger. So just to make him happy, make him stop complaining. So and I realized like, well, because this is part of the sinister nature that I've alluded to with the protagonist. He's leading these guys to fighting, to putting themselves into harm's way. There's pushback. He's pushing them to fight, to risk their lives. Now the second issue and controversy I realized is that I basically have written child soldiers. So these guys, based on my research now of this situation of child soldiers, so young men recruited, taken from their lives, given an environment of, here's weapons, we're going to teach you how to fight, here's alcohol, here's women, we're going to, make you feel really good about yourself. Now we're going to go out and fight and kill people and take their loot, taking what they have. So there's that element. There's the element as well of the protagonist is hiring kids, teenagers, runaways, orphans, people who they need something better, and saying, "I'm going to hire you, give you food, clothes, train you how to fight, teach you how to read and write, teach you jobs and skills, and get you to work for a company that I'm going to use to help establish in the community. And then maybe with that we can create some changes." The desire is presented of the protagonist saying that he wants to create a kingdom to change the world for the better, the world of Adrena for the better. So these different ideas and elements, you see weak, scrawny people who are nearly killed in many fights, and now it's ending with them as elite fighters, prepared for anything they come across. Which the finale in the last chapter, I tried my best to really capture that. So it's a unique controversy which I created for myself. In some ways, like when I was writing the story, I realize now is that I was kind of approaching it the way I would approach a video game. Because with video games, it's alright, so to the player, it's up to time to you to make a decision. Here's the challenge you're facing, here's your options, what you can do. And so that's, as the story was going along, that's kind of, I guess, mentally where I was. Like, alright, they're at this point. So what's the challenge in front of them? What are the options available? So, my guy was going to do this and write the story in that direction. And part of that leads to growing and development of the group, of the gang, making them into this formidable fighting force. Economics is always in the background of what they're doing, how they're operating. And yeah, this unique environment I created. So yeah, and I tried selling the idea back in 2007. And 50 literary agents. Only 2 said send me a draft. So no response from there. Oh well. So I guess put the story on the shelf and see what else I can gain fame with.